come and speak about a particular issue. This week we have Jana's campaign and the Women's Leadership Project speaking to us today about bystander intervention. This is part of their Red Flag campaign, which is taking place through the whole month of October. I'm sure they're going to tell you some excellent information about that. We have Dr. Kurt Brungart speaking with us today, as well as Katie Dindis and Jana Wilkinson from WLP, and they're going to give you an excellent talk today, and I hope you all have the chance to enjoy it.
All right, so as Vivian said, we are talking about bystander intervention. She also introduced us, but I'm Katie Dinges. I'm a student coordinator in the Women's Leadership Project.
And I'm Jana Wilkinson, and I'm also a student coordinator of the Women's Leadership Project.
And then Dr. Kurt Brungart. We really like the quote. I always wondered why somebody doesn't do something about that. Then I realized I was somebody. So that's just a quote to keep in mind throughout the whole process of bystander intervention.
And so we're going to start off today by just kind of discussing what is the Red Flag campaign. And so this is the 6th year that the Women's Leadership Project has hosted the Red Flag campaign. And it's just defined as a public awareness campaign designed to address dating violence and also promote its prevention on college campuses. So it just urges all of you guys to just say something when you see a red flag in a relationship. And when we say red flags, we mean like warning signs that are not healthy in a relationship, like emotional abuse, stalking, just any warning signs that you may see in a relationship. So why do we even do the Red Flag campaign? It's because it does happen. And here's just some facts to just prove a little bit of eye-opening of how often it really does happen to individuals. And so 21% of college students report having experienced dating violence by a current partner. 58% of rape victims report being raped between the ages of 12 and 24. So it's happening to most of you guys who are sitting here today. And then nearly 20% of college women, which is related to 1 out of 5, will be victims of sexual assault, as will 6% of undergraduate men. And then 1 in 6 women will be victims of stalking, as well as 1 in 19. And so you guys probably don't really realize that stalking is actually abuse in dating, but it really is, and it's illegal, and you won't get in trouble for doing it.
So we're going to follow the peer leadership model by CATS, and it's 3 primary prevention goals. 1 is to increase awareness of relationship abuse. The second is to challenge stereotypes in social settings about gender and sex and relationships, and how these messages play into violence and bullying. Also to inspire leadership by building intervention skills to affect social norm change. So we have a quick little video just about bystander intervention.
Brett, with who?
Alright, we're gonna try this one.
Friends with who? What are you with them up to? I'm the only friend that you have.
1 in 3 women are victims of relationship violence, and it's often ignored by those who could help but don't. The One Love Foundation created a revolutionary app that makes it impossible to ignore relationship violence. Based on research undertaken at the Johns Hopkins University School of Nursing, this app helps victims, friends, and family make an assessment and determine the threat. It's anonymous, free, and can save lives.
Be one for change. Join One Love.
Okay, so just so we have a general understanding of what bystander and bystander intervention is, I'm going to give a couple of definitions. So bystander is someone who is present in a situation and they choose not to react or get involved, so they're very passive. The bystander effect is when people are in the presence of others, they are less likely to offer help than when they are alone. And then an active bystander is people who are aware of an abusive situation and choose to speak up and say or do something without putting their own safety at risk.
So we're going to, before we even kind of talk about bystander intervention, I want to ask these questions. I want you to think about them as I'm asking them. Have I been a passive bystander before? What bothered me about the situation? What kept me from taking action? And how did I feel afterwards? So this video is from University of Texas, and it's just students who are talking about being a bystander, and they relate it to their family member of their little brother, their little sister, and be like, you know, if I saw this happening to them, I would want to say something. So with that, while you're watching this, I would like for you all to just think about that person and why you should be able to step up and say something and help them if it was your little brother or sister.
We all went to her place to meet up before we went out.
I'm sorry, guys.
We all went to her place to meet up before we went out.
We were at this really fun party, but the punch was kind of strong.
Someone brought tequila and they just started pouring shots.
I didn't know what was in it, but everybody was drinking it.
I saw a girl all over this guy. I knew something was off.
This kid was passed out on the couch and people were messing with him, but he wasn't responding.
I guess he was just trying to keep up with the other guys.
I saw a friend leading someone upstairs. They both looked really out of it.
I knew my friend wanted to hook up with someone, but it seemed like he was being really aggressive.
Something just didn't feel right.
I kept thinking, should I get involved?
I kept wishing that someone would do something.
I kept thinking, what if I say something, but it turns out to be nothing?
What if people thought I was weird for making a big deal out of it?
What if they get mad at me for interfering?
Should I say something?
Should I do something?
I knew I had to do something.
I didn't really know her, but I felt responsible. If it were my sister,
If it were me,
If that was my little brother, I would want someone to step in.
I would want someone to say something.
I would want someone to do something.
So I told him to back off.
So I interrupted them with some ridiculous excuse.
So I called 911.
I saw something
I did something.
at UT.
At UT?
At UT,
At UT,
We take care of each other.
So with that, I just kind of want to build up a discussion here. So can any of you answer why, what are some barriers to being an active bystander?
Not knowing the person?
Okay, yeah. With that, yeah, you should. But if you do see something, you can always ask for help, but always make sure that you are safe in that situation. Maybe other people around you may know that person if you're not feel comfortable to kind of stop what's going on. Any other barriers that you guys can think of?
A lot of times it's just because you think that you're going to be perceived as uncool if you step in and say something.
Yes, definitely.
Maybe because you think someone else will.
Yes, I always thought that.
That kind of goes along with the quote that we had at the beginning. I always thought somebody should do something about it, but then I thought, oh, I'm somebody, I can do something.
And if you think that, then so does everyone else around you, and then nothing will be said. And so here are some barriers.
Can I share my story of
Definitely.
being a passive bystander? I think I'm a very old person, so this happened a long time ago. Let me stand up. This actually happened in 1978 when I was a freshman in college. I was with two other friends, and it's so vivid in my memory because even though it was that long ago, it had such an impact on me. I remember it was late at night. Me and two buddies stepped out of a bar. We had been in a bar that night. Back in those days, it was 18 to go to a bar. okay? And we stepped out of a bar, and I remember about 5 cars away, I saw a man, another college guy, with his fist beating a girl. And I remember, I don't know if none of these things happened to me as much as I was just in shock. I had never, my mind was unprepared to see that. I had seen guys fight before, but I had never seen a male hit. And I can remember hearing that's just hitting that. And I just like was in shock. I remember me and my buddies were both just like, our jaws probably dropped to the floor, and we just stood there. And I think more than any of these things, we didn't know what to do. We didn't know what to say. We didn't know either of the people. And I think it just took a while to realize what was happening. When he saw us, he stopped. But the struggle continued, and we walked away. I regret that, and I think about that often. You know, that was how many years ago? 30, almost 30 years ago. And I remember it like yesterday. I feel tremendously disappointed in myself and my buddies for all 3 of us just didn't do anything. And I feel so bad today. I don't know who they were, don't know what happened to her, but it's something that I think about when I'm 56 years old and I was a college freshman, and I still think about it. And I'm very ashamed of that. And I share that story to a lot of high school and college students, that I was unprepared for that event. And so I think that's part of just being in shock, not knowing what to do, no one ever saying anything about what is, what should be, and what I should have done. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you for sharing. So some of the barriers are social influence. Like you said, you know, it's our society to just, oh, I'll push it over there, someone else can take care of it. Or you're not cool enough to actually say, you know, that's wrong, you should not be doing that. Social pressure, fear of embarrassment, diffusion of responsibility, fear of retaliation, and then group ignorance.
So we have a couple tips on how you can be an active bystander to prevent some gender-based violence issues from happening. So the first one is definitely to educate yourself about what healthy relationships are and what warning signs of abuse are, such as red flags that Jana talked about earlier, isolation, jealousy, coercion, sexual assault, stalking. And then also educate yourself about gender equality. This is kind of a big deal. A lot of people don't realize how much women and men do not have of the same, if that makes any sense. And then also talk to your friends about what you learned about healthy relationships, and educate them on the dangers that can occur within abusive relationships. And then also be supportive and patient of a friend that is in an abusive relationship. What they need most is you just to listen and be there by their side. Also, you can host an event with your school or within your community that raises awareness about dating violence. So during the situation, you can be aware of the situation and recognize the problem. So point out those red flags like, oh, he's obviously isolating her. He won't even let her see her friends. Or she's texting him a lot, consistently, and he's not responding. That's stalking. That's not okay. Take a sense of responsibility. Own up and say, I can take care of the situation. I can help. And then how can I keep myself safe? So maybe I need to get a couple other people to join in with me and be an active bystander. Again, recruit others to help. And then be confident and use your intervention skills that you have learned and taught yourself through education.
I'll talk just about a few of these. Let me just back up. I want to say a few things that we haven't talked about, is that the research shows, and all the people I really respect in the field of reducing gender-based violence believe that bystander intervention probably have the most hope for reducing violence among middle, high school, and college students. And so, and it does this in 2 ways. First, obviously, there's the immediate impact of create a safety, a more safe environment for the person involved. That's the immediate one. The second, I think, is equally important, and it's more long-term. It's what people see. It's about altering the culture. It's about creating a culture that people recognize they need to step in. And then partly about that culture is about what's acceptable and what is not. And by being involved in a bystander intervention issue, it really promotes a real culture change. And so there's the immediate, and then of course the long-term effects of that. When you're at a party and you see an event, I don't know if we're going to show one of those videos or not, but there's a lot of videos that show folks at parties and what would happen. But there's a number of things you can do as an outsider seeing a situation. It says I statement. What does that mean? That means talking to the people and say, hey, I don't feel like this is probably the right time or the right issue right now. It's really talking about how you feel and talking to the people involved. You know, it's not accusing. Hey, you know, it's really about, hey, I don't think this is right. I don't feel good about this. Another thing is the silent stare, you know, right? How many of you have mothers? Okay, all right? The stare we get sometimes about what's appropriate, what's not, we give that to our friends, don't we, sometimes? And as guys, we can say, dude, you know, you don't even have to say it, you just look at him, right? And say, that's, you know, one. Obviously, humor, try to diffuse the situation by changing the subject, using humor. Group intervention, the best thing you can do is recruit others. Is take on a sense of responsibility that, first of all, this isn't right. I'd rather be on the safe side. And then start recruiting other people, get 2 or 3 people around the situation and say, you know, it provides security for yourself, but also I think both the perpetrator and the victim recognize that this isn't right and multiple people are involved in trying to make it better. Distraction, obviously we can distract people from the incident and the scene by bringing their attention to something else. Hey, come over here, let's do this, let's constant distraction, and then of course call for help. I'm amazed how many people don't do those kinds of things. So those are just some of the individual skills. And all of you know how to do these things. It's just taking the responsibility in doing those. But it's important to recognize that you want to stay safe as well. I can tell you that a young man at Iowa State University in Ames, Iowa, was trained as a bystander, an effective bystander, and he was hurt intervening to protect a gal, and ended up seriously injured in the hospital in Ames, Iowa. So, I mean, he was doing the right thing, but he wasn't taking care of his own safety. And so we have to make sure that we take care of ourselves, and that we recognize that this is a situation we can do something about, and our own safety is not challenged. Does that make sense? You know, and that's why it's so important to recruit others. The other thing I'd like to share is about what's called the bystander effect. The gals talked about that, but just briefly. The bystander effect is very interesting. It means that the more people in the room that see something, the less likely somebody's going to do something. Meaning that if there's 5 people that watch something, the likelihood of them being involved is much greater than if there's 150 people there. Wouldn't you think it'd be the opposite? Why would you think that would be the case? The more people around, the less likely intervention. Anybody want to take a stab at that? Anybody in sociology? Yes. Somebody said something? Go ahead.
Oh, I said how they probably think someone else in the bigger group is going to do something.
Absolutely. I'm sorry. The response was, if there's a larger group, there's most likely somebody else will do it. There's 2 feelings. One is that someone else will likely do something, right? And the second thing is, if all these people aren't doing something, I must be misreading the situation. Does that make sense? And in fact, the larger the group, the more difficult it becomes to do that. And so if it's you and a friend, it's more likely for you to get involved. And so I want you to understand that in large groups, it's amazing how many times somebody will just wait for one person to do something, and then you'll find a lot of allies. So that's what the bystander effect means, and you need to be very aware of it. This whole thing came in the early 1960s, this whole idea of bystander intervention training, and it's done in a lot of different situations related to other topics, but it actually started in the early 1960s when a gal was was raped and murdered in public in Central Park in New York. And they had, when they had found out that over 40, almost 48 or 49 people had actually seen the incident and never intervened, ever. And they saw it happen. And so they talked about the bystander effect, and that really is what spurred a lot of the work down in this country related to bystander intervention. And that it's still the hope of many of us. It would be cool if we could create a culture at Fort Hays State, both on campus and the apartments and houses around, that we had a culture among our students, that we intervene when, whether that's somebody drinking too much, somebody doing drugs, someone being assaulted, that we really create a culture of action, a culture of action among our students. And some communities and some campuses have been able to do that. And they, in a sense, you take care of yourself and you take care of others. It's that kind of attitude that we're part of the collective, and that we believe we all care for one another, and the safety of each of us is based on the collective. You know, and that's the way it is. So, anyway, what else do we have?
Sexual assaults are happening against women and men in our community. We all share the responsibility to intervene and keep our community safe. You can be the difference in how the story ends.
Do you see that? That doesn't look good. Come on. Are you okay? Come on, let's see if your friends are still inside.
Hey man, tonight's not the night.
Hey, how's it going?
How's it going? 4 shots of vodka.
Hey, are you okay? You look a little wasted. Who did you come here with tonight? Over there? Hey. I think your friend's a little wasted. You may want to get her home.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, let's get you home. Okay. See ya. I'm going to the bathroom. Come with me.
Hey, what are you doing?
So we just have one more video about other universities and different members of their communities have stepped up to be active bystanders, and how maybe we can use this as a model for the Fort Hays community. So maybe we won't have that video. We are having a bystander intervention training, along with Janice Campaign is bringing a group of experts from Iowa.
University of Northern Iowa.
University of Northern Iowa on October 15th in the Black and Gold Room from 1 to 4. We would love for all of you to attend. There is a register link on these flyers, but the training is 100% free, and it will definitely be worth your time. It's just from 1 to 4. I know that Jana and I are going to go through the training. I believe Christy's going through the training, and Danielle Daugherty is also going through the training. If you have any questions about this, you can just ask us after the finish of the presentation. Do we have any questions? Any questions at all? Okay, well, thank you all. Oh.
If we want to get more involved in addition to training, are there ways we can connect to these organizations?
Yes, the Women's Leadership Project, you can email us at the Women's Leadership Project at FHSU.edu, as well as finding us on Facebook. And we are happy to have volunteers for absolutely anything. We are having tables throughout the union throughout the month of October for the Red Flag campaign. We'll be selling these t-shirts. At the end of the month, October 29th, Women's Leadership Project and Panhellenic Council will be hosting a Silent No More awareness walk around the quad, and it'll just be, there'll be a guest speaker as well as an opportunity for everybody to read the red flags that have been written on in the union that students have placed in the quad, as well as different posters with red flags. Like I said, you can find us on Facebook, the Women's Leadership Project, or you can stop over in the Center for Civic Leadership in Custer Hall.
And we are in the union until 2 o'clock today, so if you do want to get a t-shirt, then we'll just head over there right after this presentation. So you guys are still able to get a t-shirt today if you would like one.
I would suggest that if you're part of an organization on campus or a group, and you would like to send a couple of people to the bystander intervention training, this would be a great chance to do that. Like I said, it's from 1 to 4, right?
Yes, 1 to 4.
And we've got some top experts here, and I know many students are very active in student organizations, and that might be something that you want to get started in your organization, so keep that in mind.
And I'll add to that, this training is meant as like a train the trainer model. So we're bringing it here with the hope that we get some of these people who are in student organizations or GREE or Panhellenic or your dorms, and then you can come and be that person that takes these ideas back and teaches the rest of your group. And that's the way you create a culture. We can't get all of us students on campus together at one training. We have to get those people who are really invested and involved at these trainings, and then you can go out and help us spread the word.
Thank you all very much for coming. I would just like to give one more round of applause to the Women's Leadership Project and Dr. Kurt Brungart and Janice Campaign for presenting on this topic today. So if we could just give that round of applause. Thank you all for coming. I will say we do have another time slot next week, and it will be presented by the Coordinator of Diversity Affairs, Amber White, and she'll be presenting about cultures, not costumes. It kind of has to do with the Halloween costumes and how some of them make fun of other cultures. So if you're interested in coming to that, it's next Wednesday, the 14th, from 12:30 to 1:30. So thank you.